I'm just going to play a new. Oops. Going to play a new song tonight. This is a little lyric from a musical I wrote. But I was at the march today in Perth with Kelly and Scotty and Richie, and the march or the protest was Iranians and Jewish people coming together in support of what Trump and Israel are doing in the war. It's very controversial, and no doubt people are going to add Zionist to all the other names I'm called, from anti-vaxxer, transphobe, pro-trans, you grifter, groper, you name it. This now, so now I've got what do they call those Jews? Zionists. They add Zionist as well. But anyway, it was very, very haunting. I did interviews with about 9 people. Previous, they wouldn't do interviews because they were scared that their families in Iran would cop the wrath of the regime. This is what they claim. But now they say that their families in Iran say, we don't care. Bomb it, destroy it. We can always rebuild back, but we want our freedom. And so I added some Arabic music to the lyric, and this is what we're going to start with. But this is in honor of these people who are brave enough to speak today, and there'll be those videos will be going up in the next few days. Here it is. It has no. Boom. Howdy, Paul.
Michael.
How you doing?
Freedom family. I might be looking a little bit rough this week because I've just come down off the mountain camping with 23 men and 23 boys on a rites of passage here in near Byron Bay up in Mullumbimby. And
I know the area.
It's quite an experience. A week of men without showers. but it was an amazing experience. I tell you, our culture um, doesn't have anything like a rite of passage anymore, and it
Yeah.
was an amazing experience. The men were blown away. By the end of the week, we felt like we gave 23 uncles to each of these boys to help them negotiate what it means to be a man. And the men they all stepped up, and they were open and
Oh,
and raw, and it was beautiful. Yeah. So tonight we have Dr. Sally Price.
yeah. I don't think she can hear. So you better
Well,
put those. You better put those phones back on. You want to put them back on?
well, no, we can't hear you at the moment, Sally. But there's an audio setting on the, or maybe
Well,
you'll
we
need to come
can't
out
give her
and come back
advice if
in.
she can't hear us. Yeah, she's gonna. We're gonna call you.
Oh, I've got sound now.
Ah, now you got
Through
sound.
the headphones. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Technical difficulties, not my area.
So
Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you for coming on.
I don't know.
I think we got a little.
I don't know what anyone said. Yeah.
Well, Sally, I haven't introduced you yet. I was just talking about how I've just come down off a mountain, camping with 23 men and boys on a rites of passage. And it was just what an amazing experience it was. But I'm creaky. I'm still unshaven, and after a week of not showering, it's going to take a few showers before I get anywhere near human again. No, just awesome. So I've met Sally. Sally is one of the lighthouse keepers, and she's a medical doctor who spoke out during COVID. A vocal critic like myself about the response and the lack of the public efforts to promote wellness and to promote health. And you were worried about the influence of big pharma on policy and the restrictive nature of the agency's action. So you're a medical doctor. I understand you trained in St. Bart's in London, and you moved to Australia in the 1990s, and where you broadened your focus to functional medicine, and I'd like to hear an integrative medicine. And I know firsthand just how fantastic you are in that. So we look forward to hearing your insights. And of course, that also has a focus on natural medicine, and it is a different approach. And and as an allopathic doctor, I knew there was a tribe out there called functional or integrative doctors, but I didn't really understand what they did. I just knew they were a little bit different. So I hope we can sort of go into that. And of course, you had to. You were attacked by APRA, and you were apparently you've been re-educated. You've gone through struggle sessions. So I'm interested to hear what your struggle sessions with re-education were, and whether you now left behind all that functional integrative thing as opposed to your thing. But that's my introduction.
Can we go a little bit back, Sally, and just start? When did you become a doctor? Was it straight out of school, or did you come to it later in life? When did you decide you wanted to be a doctor?
Yeah, I guess at school, if you were kind of, should we say smart, or like, you were getting, you were getting all the A's and top of the class and all of that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like, okay, what are you going to do? Is it going to be medicine or law kind of thing? And you know, or veterinary science. So I suppose I don't feel like I really had much guidance in life as to what to do, but I did feel that medicine was something. And reflecting now at this age and stage of life, I see that it was more about relieving suffering. So it was kind of about healing. It was kind of about care, compassion, caring for people. But I grew up out in the country in Cornwall. And so, you know, we had cats, there were mice, there were voles, there were rats. And, you know, when creatures got killed or there were accidents, that sort of thing you would see. So we'd be sort of taking care of these little dying animals and putting birds back in nests and all of that kind of stuff, you know, as you do as a kid. I was very lucky. I was very lucky with my upbringing. And it was beautiful out there in Cornwall in the country. And so I think, you know, there were potentially incidents as I was growing up where there were little chicks that were suffering, or, you know, there'd be a fox or a dog got the rabbit and that sort of thing. And I think it was about relieving suffering. So I was fascinated by biology, chemistry, physics, but I also loved language like you do, Michael. You know, I did Latin, German, French, English lang, English lit, all of that sort of stuff. And I, like, across the board, I just enjoyed all of my subjects at school. And I was very lucky. My mum was a teacher, so she taught us to read before I went to school at 4. And I think that gave me a lifelong advantage for learning, for reading, and ongoing curiosity. And so I think that, you know, that curiosity that was fed by my mum and by my dad, and he was more on the science side of things. So I just loved learning. And I was one of those kids that would just be like, oh, why? And take watches apart and kind of that kind of thing. So it was always that curiosity drive for finding out how things tick, literally, and how human beings tick, and, you know, what makes people do what they do, all of that kind of stuff. So that's got lots of different branches to it. But I think, you know, as a human being, when you've got this curiosity that's fed by people, that's encouraged, and you've got a lifelong learning, a love of lifelong learning, then, you know, it just goes wherever it takes you. So
can I ask, when you got into medicine,
I didn't get to have a
when you got into medicine and became a doctor, was it everything you thought it would be, or was the reality different from the dream?
As you can imagine, it's very intense. People talk about it like learning a new language. So there's a new language, there's full-on packed days. I went from Cornwall to London, so there was, you know, being in a different city, meeting a whole group of 100 other people that are all fascinated by the same things, and your interest in you know, healing and health and human beings. So there was a lot to take on board, as well as finding your way around, you know, life, adulting 101, all of those things. So I think at that age and stage, I just went along with what we were taught, and I would have accepted pretty much what we were taught, because there was so much to learn already that I probably didn't apply the critical thinking that I have now to the learning that I was provided and offered. And to be honest, like, that worked well. Like I you know, got through those 5 years, did house jobs there. Of course, that's exhausting. People talk about it being kind of, it's a bit like being hazed in the military. You know, you're kept awake for days on end, and you're responsible for people, and you really feel it. You know, you're there, you're the first in line, and you're called all day, all night to these like human catastrophes around the place. And at any moment you're on a, you know, then it was pagers. You'd have the cardiac arrest pager, so you'd be carrying that. As soon as that went off, you just gather yourself and you're running down the corridors of the hospital for somebody with a cardiac arrest, and putting lines in, subclavicle lines, and taking blood and doing all the zapping and that kind of stuff. So there's enough to occupy you within all of that to start with. It was much later that I recognized that there was so much more to healing when I started on my Ayurvedic journey, which also happened around the time that I was having my children. So Ayurvedic medicine is one of those ancient types of medicine, a bit like traditional Chinese, where you're looking more at the person than the disease. So the standard medical system is all about the disease the person has, as opposed to the person that has the disease. And so that sort of changed tack at that point. And then I carried on that trajectory where I learnt more about hair tissue mineral analysis, minerals, vitamins, herbs, other things for healing. And at this point I'm now looking more at the precursor for the med beds, the frequency type machines and that kind of stuff. So you interviewed David Nixon a little while ago, and we're looking at the live blood analysis and where we can actually change things with frequencies, a bit like an update of the Rife type ideas, if you've come across that. So there's always more fascinating learning in this journey, and I think we're really now getting into proper full-on frequency medicine on top of all the other stuff. So did that, I've probably gone off track. Does that answer your question?
Sally, did you feel, just to follow on, did you feel that medical school prepared you for the job?
I mean, early on, of course, Paul, you have your, when you're a junior, you have your house office and you have your SHOs and that sort of thing. So you feel a bit supported. I think the worst time was probably general practice, where everything's a bit more, things are a bit more loose, and you've got people with things that aren't diseases yet. And what I recognized was, in Western medicine, like, you've either got the checklist and you've got the disease and then you've got the drug or the treatment, whereas in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine, you've got this whole spectrum of precursors. So the Ayurvedic system has 6 stages of disease, whereas the the medical industrial complex kicks in at about stage 4 to 5, where you've already got changes in the blood and so forth. Whereas a lot of the symptoms that people come to you with in general practice, like, my tummy's really gassy, I've got this funny feeling here, or this, that, and the other. Those are messages from the body that we need to attend to. And if we bring ourselves back to balance at that point, it doesn't have to become as severe as becoming a pre-disease or a disease. So, it's those approaches are quite superior in my estimation. So, when we go back to look at the past and we learn from that and we take the threads of that and then use them in our current thinking, then we can bring all of that together, I think.
Why did
so did they prepare me for? Yeah, no.
What happened with COVID?
Sorry.
What was it about COVID that you suddenly decided to basically stand up against the system, which is, in your case, APRA, who are such a kind and understanding organization, with incredible tolerance.
Pushes.
So why did you decide to risk all you'd worked for that? What was so important about risking all of it to stand up and have your say?
I think early on the naivety was that I just didn't understand how people couldn't see the pattern recognition that there was something wrong. So it was very straightforward to me, having worked in functional medicine, we all knew that there would be vitamin C, D, zinc, things that we can do. Obviously, as soon as we recognize that obesity and people with diabetes and that kind of thing made people have worse outcomes. So it was very obvious that there would have been lots of things that we could do. And so I went hunting and discussing with colleagues and all around the world. I mean, the endless amount of Zoom calls that we were on was utterly ridiculous. There was something there was emails, there was Zooms, there was just endless stuff. But equally, I couldn't see how colleagues didn't get it. But then, there were all those colleagues that never got functional and integrative medicine either. And the culture of medicine is that it's very against anything alternative. And so it was like the same thing again, if you like, that some people couldn't accept it, couldn't see it, thought it was weird. But very early on, I thought, well, there's got to be these things that we could do. And with a colleague, we wrote a newsletter that we sent out to all our patients. And then we were told not to talk about the immune system by APRA and the medical board. And that seemed like a weird thing that, here you are, you're a doctor, don't talk about the immune system. Like, what other system are you going to cut out for us not to talk about? It was just very strange, And so I felt like.
Interrupt. Were you told not to talk about the immune system?
Yes. There was messages, there was emails coming around from, I don't know if it was the RACGP, I don't know if it was, but I'm pretty sure it was the medical board or APRA saying you can't tell your patients to boost their immune system. It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's just nonsense.
As a
one word. I got a few shorter ones.
I mean, as a functional medicine doctor, like Ian Brighthope, as I'm sure you know, Michael, he was talking to politicians about vitamin C, D, zinc, go outside, get your 10 minutes at midday, do your exercise, all the things that should have been all the public health messages, they refused to do. So then the naivety was like, oh, there's something really seriously wrong here. And so to start with, I kind of hunkered down and was looking after my own loyal patient load, because I had a really successful practice that was, just grew out of word of mouth. People don't really understand what functional and integrative medicine is. But when you start talking about, we're looking at the root cause and bringing you back to wellness. But even without describing what it is, people will see the change in some of my patients and they'll go, oh, I wonder what they're doing. And then they find out, and then you'll see, the husband, the daughter, the son, the mother of people that come and see me. So it just kind of grew like that. And so, already knowing that there would be probably herbs that would deal with this virus, we knew that there would be things that we could do. And so, of course, we sort of told people, because I learnt hair tissue mineral analysis from Dr. Tabrizian, who, some people have heard of. And so it was important to keep your zinc up, and even knowing that loss of smell was one of the things that happened with COVID. We knew that zinc is actually important to that integrity of smelling. So, if your smell isn't working, then definitely you need more zinc. And so that's one of those little signs, little signatures that you have. And so, as things went along and things got weirder and weirder, I alerted my patients to the published data, like when the Pfizer post-marketing stuff came out and we saw what was going on there, they were forced to publish that. and all this stuff about. I mean, I had patients in my practice who needed, say, mask exemptions, and if you just the simple act of just putting in, well, Paul would know this, those oximeters, you put an oximeter on your finger, it reads what your oxygenation is, and you put a mask on your face and it goes down. So that's not good for anybody, is it?
Wow.
Just obvious, like really barn door obvious things, as we say in medicine, like barn door obvious things that you just wouldn't be doing to people. We're all going on all around, and I live in a little area called Fremantle, which largely is one of those kind of areas, a bit like Byron Bay, where there's less vaccination going on and people are a bit more informed and know how to look after their health, kind of thing. So I thought around this area people wouldn't be doing all the stuff, but they were. Like, they were out in the street, masking up, and weird stuff was happening. So then, I mean, all I did, the thing I got caught with APRA about was sharing some social media posts. So somebody who wasn't even a patient dobbed me in for sharing a couple of social media posts. This is somebody who's never paid me, never engaged with me, never been a patient, followed me for all my useful free kind of information, and then dobbed me into APRA. And APRA, should have just dismissed it as, some mad, I can't remember what the name for that is, but just like a irrelevant,
frivolous or vexatious claims, which should be an exemption to.
Yeah. So it was like a vexatious complaint, but in my naivety, I'd paid my indemnity for whatever it was, 30 years odd, and I thought, oh, this is what you use your indemnity for. So I rang them, I engaged with them. Little did I know that they're like this with APRA, so they're basically like the enforcing arm of APRA. And the end of the day was APRA demanded 4 hours of re-education. My indemnity asked for 10.
10 for re-education. Why does
10.
that word sort of terrify you? Re-education.
Well, re-education just smacks of. I mean, they say if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, and so we know that from past, don't we? So it was.
We said this before. But it's like 1984 was read two ways.
Yeah.
We read it like a warning, and some others read it like an instruction manual.
Exactly. Yeah, but the funniest thing was actually that I got even more up close and personal with the AMA Code of Ethics for my reading. Some of my reading was to read the AMA Code of Ethics, and that laid it all out very straight to me that, if I want to be an ethical doctor, then I do no harm, I do personalized, informed consent, confidentiality, all of the standards of medicine, all the ethical code. And the APRA position statement, as you all know, took you away from that by saying we are the, a bit like Jacinta Ardern, we are the single source of truth. We're going to tell you what to say. We're going to tell you what to do, and don't bother doing any research for yourself. So, it's on the way to, AI medicine, I imagine, because if the doctor doesn't do what they think is best for the patient and take into the patient's personal circumstances, or do research, because we're still learning. Like, if there's something different, you read up about it, right? And medicine has always learnt from respectful discussion, whether you call it discussion or debate. There used to be rounds. If you're in hospital, you'd have, whole presentation on a tricky scenario with a patient, and people would all pitch in their ideas, and it would be a big lunchtime discussion, say, and everybody learned something and went home, you know. It's but you know, then that all just got shut down, as you know. So, and everybody just went to their corner and decided what they you know, who were cookers and who were you know, the ones to follow. And so yeah, so I never lost my medical registration, but I definitely needed some time off. You know, there's loads of suicides of doctors when they undergo UPRA. They try and push you to the brink, so they'll get rid of you one way or another. If they don't get rid of you, if they don't make you suicide, if they don't make you, you know, go away from medicine, then they'll have another go at you. And I knew this, because once they've got you, they're like a Rottweiler, aren't they? They're not going to let go. And so I decided I'd have a few months off, but the few months off kind of turned into a bit longer, and then it was time to re-register with UPRA. So I emailed them. I said, well, you know, do you want me to follow my code of ethics that I've just read in the AMA, or do you want me to follow your position statement? And please, can you let me off the position statement so I can actually practice ethical medicine, because ethics and integrity are really important to me. So that was what I wanted and what I requested, but of course that wasn't allowable. So I said, well, I'm not going to pay you anymore then. So, but that's, you know, that was the end of that, really.
So what was what did they tell you during the re-education?
It was a load of stuff about how to behave online. It was reading the AMA Code of Ethics. There were a few other videos that weren't even written for doctors. They were written for psychologists. So I think it was part of trying to push you into being a nudge unit, which is now what the psychologists are, because they've now got UPRA telling them to tell people to get vaccinated. That's what's happened to psychology, and that's completely out of their lane.
Are you surprised how quickly it happened, or has it been happening gradually, like the boiling frog scenario? Or because
I think
no, it just seems to have happened so quick, and suddenly we've got all these, and not just here, we're seeing it in England, Ireland, Canada especially, and America. There's a doctor in America we've reached out to who sort of, I think he's either resigned as a doctor or whatever, but he's saying he's giving up today for the freedom of others tomorrow. But he was talking about Big Pharma allegedly was offering him $7,000 for every tweet he'd do promoting the vaccine. I'd never heard that before, you know.
I haven't heard of that. Nobody's offered me any money. I'm obviously not famous enough.
Yeah, well, that's what I wondered, if he was a famous doctor or something, you know what I mean? $7,000 a tweet, that's a lot of money. So, but are you surprised how quickly we got to here and this form of tyranny? Really?
I think, having been in functional medicine for 25 years, I could see it from that perspective, because we were the pariahs in a similar way. Like anybody that did functional medicine, integrative medicine, herbal medicine, anything that wasn't medical, industrial, complex, pharmaceutical industry stuff. So I think I'd already seen it in that scenario. And then actually, Anne Tonkin tried to close us all down. She tried to get UPRA to put a special, there was some extra rules that got added, that they tried to add for anyone that was doing integrative functional and that sort of thing, but they were buried in paperwork by our patients, because everybody wrote in and said, look, we don't think that they should have that. So you know, we're already pushing against the gradient previously, but I was really, the thing that shocked me the most in doctor friends that I had was how many functional medicine doctors even ended up complying with the mainstream ideas, the mainstream narrative, because I thought that they would have at least, you know, these are people that are more critical thinking than your normotypical kind of medical industrial complex, you know, recipe book medicine people. So I was quite surprised about that, and I was very surprised at how quickly people turned on each other. But apparently my worldview is quite different from other people's, so I've learned that since, that, you know, I mean, I kind of thought in my worldview everybody's a bit about kindness, a bit about compassion, and a bit about caring for the greater good, but I've been quite confronted and disappointed in that area.
Can I ask you, moving away from COVID for a second, I just want to get back. As a doctor now, watching what's happening, I mean, I've interviewed people who grew up under, say, the regime of the USSR or Argentina and Chile, and they said their parents were always of the belief that, oh, look, it'll get better, but it always got worse. And we're waking up now with more and more madness every day. Today, I've seen, looking for stuff to talk about, I think there were one in Norway or both in Europe, 2 children, one's already lost to us, depression and loneliness, euthanasia, and they were euthanized. I think they were in their teens.
Yeah.
And there's another girl getting ready to do it, and she's got a non-life-threatening autoimmune disorder. Are you behind this, or do you look at it with despair? Like, this is, we just seem to be devaluing human life.
Yeah, there's so many levels of despair, and I mean, to be honest, I find it constantly confronting and traumatizing the more stuff I hear. Like, you know, there's all the stuff about, you know, the abortions up to birth. There's the people being offered MAID in Canada before they've even been, even before they've been properly assessed or even offered any real treatment. There's so much there's more in Australia. I think the medical systems, like, even though, I mean, I think there's still good people working in health, like good doctors, good nurses, good people, but, you know, they've been led astray by this whole system, and you know, people are not supported, so they don't know what they're doing. They're not been they've not had the mentoring and training and the support, and so things are going wrong more. I think there's more accidental stuff. Paul and I are on some chat groups and things, and so it's just horrendous, and it's just adding more and more layers of trauma to me personally, to be honest. Like, sometimes I just have to, you know,
switch off.
Yeah, I just have to read some kind of uplifting book or watch something uplifting, or, you know, if you can find it, because there's none of that on Netflix, is there? So you know, like, trying to.
I think from Tad Askew, Dr. Price, how does the vax affect the microbiome, and how can one regulate?
Yeah, well, so Sabine Hazan has done a lot of work on there, of course, and so what we know is it decimates the bifidobacteria, and so it's really important to nurture your microbiome in all the ways that you know how to do. And so prebiotic type fibers, so when you're eating good amounts of plant fibers, see, the amount of plant fibers that we typically consume in the Western lifestyle is minimal compared to what's needed. It's all the indigestible stuff that the bugs thrive on. So we want to have lots of that. And in particular, you know, I would say your black and red fruits and vegetables, those kinds of things. So, you know, if you can get the purple carrots or the, you know, raspberries, pomegranate, black currants, blackberries, beetroot. Yep. Beetroot's fantastic for the heart as well. So that's something that you really want to, it helps increase nitrous or nitric oxide. Paul, you have to help me out there.
I think nitric,
but it's
yeah.
It expands, it expands your blood vessels, so you're getting more blood flow, oxygenation, detoxes the liver. Beetroot's fantastic for lots of things, detoxing. Wow. So I mean, as you know, I've got a little ebook, which is, quite simple. It's a downloadable for people to learn. It's recipes and bits of information. That's very straightforward on my Stand for Creators site, and I've got a program for people that want to delve into it a bit more, which is...
And the links for that are in the show notes.
Sorry?
I believe the links for that are in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. So Biome Basics is my program, just to educate people about their gut microbiome. It's a little program with some notes and tips for success, that kind of thing. So for people that really want to learn how to nurture their gut microbiome and why they would do what they do, that gives them a good starting point. Yeah. But basically it's fibers.
Ivermectin also, I think, is a prebiotic.
It does. Yes.
The BIF likes ivermectin. It really
it's
likes
fascinating.
It's curious.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? And I mean,
sorry, carry on.
Oh, there's a little bit of a delay of a microsecond because of the pads, but we need them. So it's not we're talking over; it's just the delay.
Yeah. I was going to. We were talking just a moment. We should come back to microbiome because it's an important topic. But we were talking about life and how it's been devalued, and I've got a very short clip here just on that topic that I saw just recently.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers is being urged to consider a baby bonus to try to boost birth rates. Former PM John Howard is championing the idea.
Let's get this straight. Australia has a fertility crisis, it's literally falling off the cliff. And actually at the moment, instead of paying women money to have babies, so to incentivize them to have babies, to give them a baby bonus, the Labor government, Anthony Albanese, is actually paying women over $4,200 to kill their babies late in pregnancy. Yeah. There's a late-term dead baby bonus that is being paid by this Labor government, which incentivizes killing babies. This money should be going to women who have babies, to support women who are vulnerable, to keep their babies. If you are sick of the death cult and the messed up policy making of this government, follow along, join our movement as we speak truth to these people and we fight that.
So I just thought that was on topic, but so it's not just that they're even incentivizing the wrong behavior. They're incentivizing, and I worry that it's also related to harvesting the products of these babies. And that link also extends to MAID, because it wasn't long after that I noticed that the Canadians have an industry now that you pop off the depressed person, and when you harvest, they found ways of preserving the organs so that they can harvest it, and there's a lot of money in it. So
have you ever anesthetized anyone, Paul, for when they do the
organ harvest?
Because they're not really dead, are they, when they're brain dead? It's a murky area.
Well, they would say that in brain death you don't need to give an anesthetic, but I would always because they're dead, so there's no need for an anesthetic. But I would always put on some volatile anyway, because there are still reflexes. Even if you remove the brain, there's still going to be blood pressure responses and other things. So as a point of safety, I would always run a little bit, because maybe
there's a lot of controversy about that.
Half a dozen times, or maybe a dozen times over the years, and you know, of course, it's a gift to the people who need the transplant. It could save the act of, you know, does benefit and save lives as well. But where the issue is coming is you have to be really sure that the person you're harvesting from is dead, is brain dead. And there have been cases now where it's been suggested that again, on the same line, this imperative to get the organs, that they've been a bit fast and loose with the definitions, because you have to there is an extensive checklist where you have to make sure that they're completely free of the influence of any drugs, that they're, you know, at the right temperature, that their electrolytes are in balance, that their glucose, so anything that could possibly be hiding brain activity has been reversed. And there's been some instances where that hasn't happened. And that's to say that's an ethical breach is really understating it. It's a horror. It is a bloody horror. And one of the things that happened over the last few years is that the trust in the profession is broken down, and the censorship and even the actual APRA position statement from March 2021, where they said, oh, you can only talk about the good things about the rollout. You can't say anything negative. Basically put a gag on anything related to safety. And how you can't have informed consent when you're censoring, when you're gagging the professions, about safety. It was insane, and it was grossly unethical. And you know, you saw it, I saw it, but I don't know how other doctors. You talked about the AMA Code of Practice and the Medical Board of Australia Code of Practice. When I had to respond to an anonymous complaint in, I think it was 2023, this was after I'd already won in the courts. They left me alone for a year and then they came back. And what my response was to go through the Code of Practice, because if you follow the Medical Board of Australia's Code of Practice, they say then your communication online is compliant. If it's compliant with the code, it's all good. And I asserted that everything we were saying was completely consistent with the Code of Practice. But of course, the implication was that medical councils and APRA were not.
Can I ask?
And you got away with it, Paul? Like you actually won that?
They did actually say, okay, we're not going to take this bogus, vexatious, frivolous, no, I called it that, complaint any further, but we'll put a mark on your permanent record. And it was not long after that that I decided, like you, that I didn't want to contract with these horrors.
Can I say, Dr. Price, I'm not a doctor, right? What I want from a doctor is what everybody wants from a doctor, and that is the truth. I want to go into a surgery and talk with another human being who knows a lot more about my body than me, and they're going to tell me honestly, you know, and they're going to, that's all I want. Now that trust is gone. And a lot of people go into
you can't,
they can Google their own systems.
Yeah.
The reason,
I mean, it's tragic.
But I was going to ask to put it somewhere else. So from a business perspective, that means there's a big gap in the market for doctors we can trust. How hard would it be? Kelly goes on about this all the time, to set up new systems where APRA has nothing to do with it? Or would that be illegal in our country? Or is there a way to somehow set it up? Because there's a hunger for it. There's just a hunger.
I've got a lot of ideas on that.
Why don't we share some of those and sort of maybe Yeah, that'd be a really positive way to go.
Well, I've got a lot of ideas on that because obviously I haven't been in paid employment for 5 years, and I have been chatting with colleagues and friends and people like that. But really, the issue, Michael, is safety for us, because as soon as you get somebody that dobs us in, like, we're going to be, we're going to be gone. And I'll tell you what happened after I stopped paying APRA. Is the very next email I got from them was because I actually developed a whole website with educational materials for people, and it was called Fast Start in Functional Medicine. I had this whole program that would get people across all the things that they needed to do to maintain their wellness, to improve their wellness, to get to optimal well-being. And I thought, well, because I'm typically ahead of my time by about 20 years. Like, people are starting to get into functional medicine now. I've been doing it for 25 years. And the thing is, now people are recognizing that they need to do those things. But I put that whole program together. And when I deregistered from APRA, I didn't close it down or recheck the information on the website. And so the very next email I got from APRA was criminal prosecutions at apra.com was the email address. We're going to fine you $300,000 if you don't take anything off your website that suggests that you're a practicing doctor. So, this is how they...
$300,000.
$300,000, yeah. That was their next ploy, because, if you block them by one thing, they're still going to go for you. They're still... And then there's other doctors in that Paul and I know who have been constantly harassed and told that they're not allowed to give any health advice to anyone ever again, whether they're still registered or not registered. It's like, you can't do that. So, for us, it's about our safety. It's about, and the way I think we could do it is have like an OnlyFans type site. So we're secure and safe, and people can pay for our services. But, it's a blind sort of thing, but you get medical advice from somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, that has ethics, that has integrity, that has critical thinking, that has research skills, that know what the fuck's gone on for the last 5 years. And so, somebody could build something like that, and then we could all take it in turns and do connections that way, or something along those lines. But I just thought it was quite funny when one of my pharmacist colleagues sort of said, "Oh, why don't you do it like this?" And I thought, well, yeah, that's a confidentiality. Nobody's got your phone number, nobody's, because people are often asking for those, and I've tried all sorts of things in the last 5 years as well.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I get contacted all the time. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But they know.
Yeah. You know that you're in touch with us. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a keypad full of underground doctors. This phone.
Yeah.
APRA like it. Here, APRA.
Yeah.
Come and
Exactly. And when you get offered 10 million for that, are you going to sell out? Because like some people will and some people won't.
They would. They would. No.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing about human nature. Yeah.
The way you guys talk about APRA, I'm pretty sure AI could figure out an anagram which would see APRA become the Sopranos or just the Mafia, because they're not interested in our health. They're just protecting product, protecting big pharma product. That's all they're for. We even interviewed a doctor from New Zealand. Do you remember him, Paul? Polly or something, and he was saying that he traced APRA back to one organization in America within sight of the Pentagon, and the tentacles go all around the world. So it's this huge thing of protecting products.
Yeah, it is.
And
yeah,
it's clear that they don't care about human beings. We're just like,
it's worse than that, Michael.
It's vaccination. It's like drenching sheep.
It's sinister. I think it's a lot more sinister than that.
Yeah. And so the thing is,
but the sinister thing,
28 million people, why do we put up with it? Like the raising up in Ireland, why don't we say, hey, F off, we don't want. And if the government, I don't understand why at some point there couldn't be a groundswell movement to say, let doctors be doctors. I've got a great picture of Dr. Hobart with that, but actually let doctors be doctors, because that's what the community wants. We don't want the government in the surgery with us. We don't. We just want the doctor.
Which is what you've got. Yeah, that's what you've got now. It's all gone that way. Yeah. I mean, we did that with AMPS, but it's not, you know, we need big amounts of money to actually build the new. Like, that's what I've been trying to do for the last 5 years. It's really about building the new. And when you build the new, like with all of these kinds of systems, when you build the new, people will kind of start to come on board with it. People will start to kind of go, yes, that's what I want, and it's over there, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to go and do that, and I trust those people. But there's very few of us, and you know, we need the support, we need the help to build the infrastructure. I mean, it's not, it's a very big thing. But as you know, I think, did you talk to Julian Gillespie about the secession system idea that we've got for WA?
Because a lot of media, so no, not as yet. There's
because there's 2 chapters in there. One's written by Ian Brighthope and one's written by Julian. So one of them is about like the logistics of it, and the logistics and the legals and the ethics of it, and the other one is Ian Brighthope writing about you know, what we're actually going for, what we really want, and and that's the start of the blueprint. But somebody's got to fund this stuff. We can't. You know, I've been trying to do stuff for the last 5 years, and it's exhausting. I've done lots of talks. You know,
Michael Palmer. We have who's the one backing Pauline Hanson? I mean, there's lots of money in this country, and it's not like the ruling. It's not like the politicians are doing anything good with it now. I mean, we're in debt of $1.3 trillion.
Yeah.
You know,
it's probably going to take somebody that's not in politics, I would think. But you know, it's really about how do we, you know, fund us to have think tanks and work it out, and we'll start something. And the first thing is, you know, organize a building. The next thing is organize those of us, you know, who are already tried and tested, proven. We've gone away from the stuff that nobody wants anymore, and you know, people that can help us to make it move forward. And really, I think that's very straightforward. That you know, there are people that have, I mean, there's even people who've made masses of millions on rat tests. You know, there's people that have been part of the whole COVID thing that have made squillions of dollars that they probably feel a bit bad about at this point. Do you know what I mean? And that's a way of getting that money.
I'm sure they feel terrible as they enter into their private jets. You know, with the limit. You know, Matty made the comment, only found doctors. At least that's a form of medicine that will be, at least that's a form of medicine where you're more likely to have a happy ending.
Exactly. We can guarantee happy endings. Should we say that?
Well, we're much more likely to have a happy ending.
I just got to write that down, because that's a short right there. Just got to put that down.
Doctors with a happy ending.
but yeah, along those, I like that idea. You know, where you've got a private channel, because it's become like that. You know, it is so difficult now to discuss anything other than the big pharma and the protocol medicine, and we've seen movements like, I think it was New Zealand. I've introducing legislation to remove natural therapies. Canada, I think, natural therapies are under attack. So it's literally like, someone mentioned Barbara O'Neill too. It's not just the doctors. It's anyone.
She's been. It's like everyone's getting banned. Yeah, she can't work in this country apparently.
She can't lecture. I've interviewed her a few times. I'm good mates with, and she's such a beautiful little thing when you meet her. And around the world, she's like Bon Jovi. She fills stadiums because everyone's mad to see her. Did you hear about the story when she was in, I think it was Dubai or one of these Arabic countries, and the police got told, oh, she's doing anti-Islamic stuff. And they came down this full auditorium to arrest her, down both sides. And when they got to the front row, there at the front row, is the royal family. They booked the whole front row, and these soldiers sort of went and backlinks.
Yeah.
So she's protected by this. It's an incredible time.
That's the kind of backing we need. Yeah. We need that kind of backing and protection.
Yeah, and even like a defiance of actually going, because listen, we've been doing this for 5-6 years now, and basically, why are we putting up with this shit? Why are we, you can't have this ivermectin because, it's completely safe, and why can't we have it? Why can't, it's getting to a point of Australians got to say it's the Australians that have got to stand up. Why do we have to do this? Why, it's ridiculous. I mean, most Australians, if you set up a small private practice saying, I tell you what would happen if, say, William Bay, Dr. Hobart, yourself, and Miley Trin, if there was a little surgery in Melbourne or Sydney, it would have lines outside of it. It would be so.
Well, we need one in each state, but at this point,
I'm just saying that if it started with one and was successful, there must be some legal way around it in the legalities of it. There must be there somewhere, and defiant. It's almost like underground doctors, but we need it, and people are dying everywhere. They're sick everywhere. He was still getting stories. We interviewed a woman the other day, and this is out to anyone watching. We have found a way to alter people's voices so ASION no one can trace you. No way at all.
I saw that you had.
So we interviewed a midwife. I sent it to Dr. Biss, actually. She's going to come back on. I forgot to tell you that, Paul. And she is saying it's happening over there. So 9 out of every 10 women that go in to give birth now are bleeding, and they can't stop. They have bleeding issues. 9 out of every 10. And that's not including calcification of the placenta and that they've never seen before, and all these other things. We are suffering, and our doctors, because they're gagged, because they just can't help us at the moment because they're so terrified of APRA. That's like us paying sort of homage to a leech.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, leech, can we please, hey, Glenn, how you doing, brother? To me, I think there's a time to actually stand up. And if the politics can't save us and the system can't save us, we need a new system. They're too invested.
Well, that's exactly right.
It's like an animal farm. The pigs have got their nose in the trough. You can't get them out of there. That's where we're at.
So the only way is to build a new system, like to really build a new system. And that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of personnel. You need you need the equipment, you need and if it was set up a bit like, are you familiar with NIM in Melbourne, where it's partly a research institute? Like, if you set it up as a research institute, then there would be a broader amount of different things that we could actually use. So, the frequency medicine, all of the herbs and nutrients and light therapies and all of that kind of stuff,
I mean, look at it. Look at Dr. Brighthope. I mean, I love interviewing the guy. Mate,
he's wonderful.
Him.
And
he's and yet APRA sees him as the devil. But
he won against them. That's why.
Like Paul here.
He won against APRA.
William Bay as well. They're still coming. William Bay is still getting attacked. I just feel though that William Bay is actually a perfect one that could lead the charge. I mean, if his balls were any bigger, he'd be a ball. And it's just, we just have to have someone that pushes in and goes, no, the people want it, we want it. And I'm not saying you'd have to start with let's get new hospitals, just a doctor's surgery for general practice. That's all. If they need to go to hospital, they can go to hospital. But just a doctor's surgery where APRA had no say in it whatsoever. This was doctors up to the Hippocratic Oath. I mean, we only found through William Bay that doctors since the last few decades, they don't even what's the word for stating they don't even say the Hippocratic Oath in their time in medical school. So they're not bound by it because they don't even claim it or whatever. I don't know what the word is. But this is wrong. Because most of us go in there thinking the doctor has that living up to that oath. You know,
we need another name, Michael. It's almost like APRA has got. No, the quacks are the ones we call doctors at the moment. But you need it like a totally, because doctors become like a term of art, you know.
Yes.
And unfortunately they've poisoned the word, just like they've poisoned the word resilience and equity, all sorts of words. They've inverted the meaning. So I don't know what the word is yet, but it's almost like maybe healer is as close as I can get at the moment, but we're still working on it.
But I think you're right. I think to get back to the sanctity of life thing, I mean, I just don't understand. That was Joanna Howe that you had that little clip of, who I absolutely accolade. She's incredible, that woman. But you know, why are these babies not being adopted? Like, there's like really bad problems with fertility, and yet there are these babies that are being literally killed at birth, or they've been attempted to have been killed before delivery, and they're still alive, and they're just left in a room to kind of die on their own. And you know, that could be a gift, you know, that I just can't. Yeah, it's one of the horrors.
Dr. Price, should we as Australians set up our own medical system where doctors can be doctors? You go, yes or no? I'm going to leave it there for now, guys. That's a poll. It's a new thing that we're allowed to do with here. So that's a poll. And I'll just put it up. Where shall I put it? Nope. Yeah, there's the poll there. Down there. There's the poll. Have a poll and just see. I don't know how it works. We've just got it. And so but to me, I'm telling you, this is what the people want. Because when they do call me up, they're so desperate because they simply don't trust their doctors. They go in with system. The other day I was interviewing someone. This amazing interview with Carrie. You know, she's 38 years old. She's infertile now. The jabs made her infertile. She's lucky she had one baby, and now here it is. And
fertility's dropped off the cliffs.
Yeah, that's right. And no one talks about it. That's like our future. What are the point? We're not here just.
Well, we do talk about it. Yeah.
And we get censored. Shadow banned, and blocked. Do you know? I was just having dinner with my sister, and she was saying she was sitting somewhere at a cafe, and some a group of 30-something-year-old women were talking about how all of her friends needed IVF to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And you know, we did at the Lighthouse roundtable on fertility, and we talked about it right from the inception that this was a concern. But of course, that anything negative about the synthetic gene religion is incompatible with being a doctor. You have to be part of the faith, and questioning faith in the synthetic gene therapies, despite the lack of evidence. You know, despite the lack of long-term safety, despite the fact, despite the fact that they didn't assess effects on reproduction. You know, it is fucking insane.
It was totally predictable.
It
was totally predictable. And then the kids that do survive, the kids that do survive the pregnancy from the women that were jabbed prior, like a lot of them have got developmental delays, and what they've done is shift the goalposts of development. So, you know, the babies are not developing normally as per the old developmental milestones, you know, like sitting up, crawling, smiling, blah blah blah. They're not normal anymore. They've shifted all the goalposts to try and hide that fact, and they're the ones that actually, like the ones that have actually survived. And I just hate to think how much disability we're looking at with all of that, because, you know, there's the fertility is absolutely crashing, and people could watch the fertility roundtable on Lighthouse Declaration and join that for us. But also, you know, that the kids of previously jabbed women are, you know, they're not developing normally or properly, and then, you know, they can't even get into a pediatrician. So then, of course, they can't get diagnosed with anything. So then they can't get any help, and they can't get any assistance in schools, and so it just rolls on and on and on.
It's the other thing we're not talking also about is men, and we've got this really bizarre thing now where at one point they deny it, but at the same point they talk about it. You know, like where was I saw it where they're saying there's a they've got there's all these people on IVF, but they've got a critical shortage of sperm. You know, and so I'm just putting up the Cape Loud House.
Yeah, that'll be the other OnlyFans site. Buy your own sperm.
Yeah, well, we were joking early on, because we all lost our jobs. We were saying that our superannuation was going to be in our balls.
Yeah.
We called ourselves the Golden Balls Boys. And so it's the opposite of the Handmaid's Tale. Instead of the women being there, it's the men that are going to be like stud balls, you know. But it's that, jokes aside,
Golden
though,
balls.
evil territory. And I think people are suddenly waking up.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do is either this was just greed, where they're trying to keep these big pharma juggernauts alive, which have a economy bigger than, say, Poland or Sweden, so they're keeping them alive no matter what, or there's something behind it. I can't see any other thing that makes any sense, you know. Because I found something on the net the other day. I was going to save it. I think it was from the 70s or the 80s, where they had swine flu, and they had a swine flu vaccine, but they had so many people injured, they pulled it off the entire world literally in a day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you remember
it? Yeah. We actually had a situation. Well, we had a situation here in WA where they started jabbing kids with the flu vaccine, and they had, within the first sort of few jabs, they had kids sick or die from the flu jab that was given to them, and they pulled that off the market. So, you know, all these experiments that they've previously run on us are, you know, at least those things got stopped, but this stuff just is going and going and going. So, it's very sinister. Like
yeah, keep on. I'm just going to see if I can find this thing that I did. Hold on. Please keep talking. I'm just going to find it. It's, because there's this thing here. This made me furious. I'll just bring it up. Have you seen this?
Report for the public. You will see that they didn't do any fertility studies. Pages 16 to 21 are of particular interest for people to look at if they're interested. They did no fertility studies, and they didn't even do fertility studies in animals. They were exempt. The studies and trials were exempt, which is most peculiar. They didn't do any studies in pregnant women, and yet it was pushed on pregnant women. And we know from the Pfizer studies themselves that they said to the women in the studies, you must not get pregnant, you must use contraception, you mustn't get pregnant under any circumstances. And human nature being what it is, 25 women did get pregnant. And out of the 25 pregnancies, there were 15 miscarriages, which means that's 58% miscarriage rate for women who were vaccinated and became pregnant. And out of the 9 babies that were born, 5 had congenital abnormalities. So this is a complete disaster, absolute disaster. And we've seen miscarriage and stillborn baby rates go up enormously, actually. In Scotland, the normal rate is 2 in 1,000, and it's gone up to 4.9 in 1,000, which is the highest level for over 10 years.
I'm just going to say that's the academic version. But this is the woman I interviewed the other day, Paul. This week, you probably haven't seen this. And this is how it is on the street. This poor woman, It
was premature ovarian failure. That's what it was diagnosed as.
Premature ovarian failure.
Yeah,
Never heard of that before.
Basically, my body just said, nope, that's it, you're done.
So it is like an early menopause.
Yeah.
Which I've heard.
Perimenopause, yeah.
Perimenopause, I've heard. And how old are you?
I am 42, but I was 38 at the time, or 36 at the time, yeah.
36?
So,
which is?
Yeah, count by 5 years.
So suddenly, basically, you're infertile.
So I was infertile. Yep.
How'd you take that news?
I didn't take it very well at first.
Yeah, I bet.
So we did a lot of testing.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor and I told my doctor, I'm like clockwork. Ever since I had bub, my cycle went back to normal.
Yeah.
I was like clockwork. You could count it by the time of the day.
Yeah.
It was going to happen.
Because
I wasn't on any contraception, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And even after losing all that weight, my periods still come back to a normal cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the moon.
Yeah,
Every full moon, boom. It's game on.
Yeah.
But when it suddenly stopped, I thought
in the original.
Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's because I've been sick. Maybe it's all this combination of things happening. I went to the doctors. I'm like, can you just run me a hormone panel? And she did, and it come back, and we were just like, oh, that's not good. And she goes, I'm going to do your AMH level, which is your anti-Müllerian hormone. That's the one that tests your eggs, how many egg supply you've got, ovarian reserve. And it had dropped from the previous time we did it with bub. It had dropped to non-existent.
Wow. And you know, Paul,
that isn't just for anybody that's listening. Some people still get pregnant even if their AMH is really not showing. So even though that is a useful test, it's not impossible to get pregnant. And I think if you re-nourish yourself and if you actually ensure things like your zinc and your iodine and all of that stuff is working sometimes. But yeah, look, it's a shit show out there with all of that stuff.
We've been told 18-year-olds have been told, I've met the parents that their daughters at 18 and they have the eggs of a 35 or a 38-year-old. You know, that's the supply. I'm sure men out there probably haven't been tested. They'll probably get tested by, I'm guessing, knowing how men are, that the woman will want to get pregnant, and then if it doesn't, they'll get the men tested, and that'll be another shitstorm coming through. But you can
I tell you now, that is a shitstorm because David Nixon, we've already in one of the groups we're discussing that, and they did a sperm sample with live blood analysis of somebody who's unjabbed, healthy, normal young male, and like the sperm are just like not going anywhere.
Oh my Lord! David's wanting to come on. There may be a reason to get him on this week then. Until I can see if you're watching, David, I'll get you on. But to show you how the horror gets, you have all these stats and stuff. But I was in a post office the other day, and I saw something that I realized I hadn't seen in a while, and it was a brand spanking new baby. And you're going towards it like there's this holy thing. Because, I mean, you used to see them a lot, but now this was brand new.
Gives you hope.
They are having them, but it's rare to see them. It just is. The polls down here, guys. Should we set up our own medical system with doctors can be doctors? Have a go if you want to use it. This is something we're going to be using more. It's a widget coming in. Yeah, sorry, Paul, I'm taking over. But what do you think, Paul, as a doctor? You wanted to be a doctor. You wanted to help people. And now you're watching your people suffering because basically, allegedly, of those who used to be above you. You know what I mean? How do you cope with that?
I've been watching just this ocean, a tsunami of needless suffering, and I don't think it was an accident. I mean, you know, one thing, two things, but by the time you get up to several thousand things, it's just the opposite of what they should be doing. They cared about the population. It just doesn't make sense. So I think it's by design. But it's it's been going on for so long now, and you know, even in the last week, I've talked to people who have had cancers, and you know, so the fertility, the cancers, just you know, the clots, the cardiovascular, the strokes, the heart attacks. Dr. Tina Pierce, in that interview, she said there were no animals. I seem to recall that there were 5 or 8 rats studied in a lab somewhere, and I think one of them had rib abnormalities, and they stopped there. So you know, so yeah, you know, it's a bit like with the Hep B, you know, that Rosie Marshall talks about. They did they study it? Did they do a trial? 147 babies that they studied for 5 days, and then they go on to give it to millions and billions of babies on their first day of life. So like, oh yes, we studied it. When you study it in you know, it's ridiculous. And if you look at the work of Aaron Siri and books like Turtles All the Way Down, you know, that's the real concern, that you've got a class of drug where they didn't use placebo, inert placebo controls, you know, and it's the only thing. It's the only thing, and it happens to be this one type of medicine which is called a vaccine. And I think Aaron Siri nailed it when he said he defines a vaccine as something that the government gives liability to. So they could be giving you sarin gas, and if they labeled it a vaccine, it would be safe and effective and without and completely free of liability. You know, so vaccines aren't what people think they are. You know, it's become something. It's become something far more sinister, and that's why I wouldn't be recommending anyone have something that they call a vaccine, which is a government-imposed and big pharma-imposed product, which is free of any legal redress. And then you add on to that what we've seen over COVID with censorship and attacks of people raising any sort of safety issue, and it goes well beyond incompetence. It's something very sinister. And you know what we were talking about earlier about, you know, to find a doctor who is ethical, who has spoken out, who they're hard to find. I mean, you'd think
it's a contradiction. You can't be both. Yeah. There's very few left. I mean, we just don't.
Yeah, who are still registered. I mean, I'm sure they're out there, but it's not something that even I can share easily, because they're like the you know, they're like the Christians in a, you know, underground community that are being literally attacked, hounded, and always a hair's breadth away from being denounced as a witch and burnt at the stake.
Yeah,
in terms
heretics.
of their career. So we have to fix that, and like you're saying, we have to find a way that it's not that there isn't a demand for people to connect with technical professionals, but how do you find them in a situation where they're literally being persecuted, censored, and attacked? It's very, very hard, because I'd like to be able to, you know, someone says, oh, I want a cardiologist, or I want a cancer specialist, or I want a fertility specialist that actually hasn't been brain rotted by the cognitive warfare. And it's very difficult. And so you have to end the censorship, and you have to find a way that the community, because I'm sure there's demand, where they can safely reach these class of professionals, and we can't call them doctors anymore. I think I saw a response, independent health carers, and I think, you know, that's a good one. I like that. You know, something like that. Do you have any other ideas, Sally, about how?
Before you go on, I got sent this the other day. I'd never heard of this. And it was from 1968 with the Vaccine Injury Act. And it's from the US Congress. And they're talking quite openly about the measles vaccine. I've just got to see it here. I meant to do a thing on this. This is from a lawyer. And in it, when the measles vaccine was introduced in the 1960s, the US public health authorities openly acknowledged that measles was widely regarded in the United States as an ordinary childhood illness. The prevailing view was described by the US Public Health Service in the following times. Measles was often welcomed as a guarantee of lifetime immunity. And we have the PDF for that. It's seen as trivial and basically a disease of childhood. So this is that they were saying this in Congress. So now they go, oh, there's a measles outbreak there. I interviewed a funeral director in a tiny town. He'd been the funeral director for 50 years. He was 90 years old when I interviewed him. And he said in the interview, he goes, do you know how in 50 years, how many children I buried who died of measles? 0.
Yes.
So
well, I remember the Brady Bunch episode where all the kids went and got measles, and it was like, it wasn't
measles
like the end of the world.
Measles party.
I got measles the old-fashioned way when I was a kid, and I survived. And isn't there a research that it actually has health benefits having natural immunity to measles? It is protective in ways that the injected form of immunity isn't. You know, so but you can't talk about these things and not be declared. You can't even consider these things. You know.
I wonder how much autism was around in 1968 before they, you know. I reckon
that's a very big discussion, that one.
Yeah, well, this discussions we got to have. I mean, they cancelled this anyway. They can't cancel you, doctor. Otherwise, you bounce back into life. They can't keep cancelling you. You know what I mean? There's a limit. Yeah. But these discussions we have to have, and we have to have them now. Yeah. And we can't just can't be scared because our people are dying, and it all comes down to this one core belief that people have that they can inject health. That's it. That's their one core belief that is wrong. You know, I think it's a time for this, even campaigns of getting out of saying, well, how do we do it? There must be clever people out there who, lawyers, barristers, I mean, Julian Gillespie is one, but others who could actually, well, how can we do this? How can we set up? I mean, you're saying we need the money. I reckon you could crowdfund it. Go to Australia, we're setting up our own surgery. We've got these doctors been kicked out of APRA. We're using this system, which these lawyers have said they can't touch us on, and we need this much money. Can we get a GoFundMe? I mean, that actor in America, Mickey Rourke, he had a GoFundMe because he couldn't pay his rent because he probably shoved it up all his nose. I reckon we could fund it, and it's the people going, we're taking back our health. We can't trust those above us. They're business people. This. It's just it's a business. Vaccines are a business that they've carefully and cleverly wrapped up in a fake dogma, and the prayer of that fake dogma is safe and effective, and it's effing not. You know, they're the heretics. You know, that's the reality. I mean, I didn't even learn about my immune system until I was talking to Dr. Oosterhuis. And early on, when we started going on, he talked about the miracle of our immune system and the different levels and in the mucus here and it's incredible. We're not even taught how miraculous we are. You know, it's almost taught like, oh, you're here, but you're like, you know, you're not going to be able to cope unless your veins are full of our shit. You know what I mean? This planet will eat you up. It's deadlier than Mars.
But I mean, you know, nobody's really taught how to look after themselves. Like, you're given this human body, right? And it's the most incredible instrument that can heal all sorts of things. And what you need to learn is how to support it, what's needed, how your personal body runs. It's like you wouldn't buy, you know, a vehicle, a Ferrari, a motorbike, a Mack truck, and not know what kind of fuel goes in it, where to put the oil, what to do with it, that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't buy stuff and not learn at least the basics of how to run it. But, you know, not in school, not in high school, not in university. Nobody learns how to look after this incredible healing instrument. And that's, you know, that's where I've been attempting to intervene. It's like, you know, look after your gut microbiome. That is first and foremost. That's a major thing. You know, look after your nutrient capacities, maybe do a hair tissue mineral analysis, learn which nutrients you need personally, learn how your personal body runs, when's the best time to exercise, what night and day, what chronobiology you need, learn, you know, how to balance your nervous system, what works for you, you know, is it running or is it meditation? Is it a dip in a cold bath? Is it heat? You know, like, learn how to run your own instrument, that kind of stuff.
Sally, I put, funnily enough, at the rites of passage, the boys were.
Let's leave it there for a sec. I'll go ask them.
The boys were.
We looked at PMAs as well.
They were dumped in an ice bath, which I thought was very good. Like you say, there are definite health benefits to cold therapy. Tell us what have you? I know.
There's a question there for both you too.
Private members associations has been used, so where it's a contract based relationship between the independent health carer and the person seeking advice. What have you heard about that, Sally?
Yeah, look, I've looked over the last 5 years. I've looked into lots of things, and I did look into that, and I did look at, you know, making a page that's a contract that has those kind of words and that kind of stuff. I don't know if it holds water. Like, I have looked at those kinds of ideas, and I guess, you know, that's why the whole thing's been so slow, because starting again from scratch and trying to do that stuff. You know, personally, I'm saying I'm a coach because I can be a coach. I can be a nutritional coach. I can educate people. So now I'm an educator, and that's how I've, you know, set up my stand site. I'm an educator. I can teach about the gut microbiome. So, you know, there are things that, you know, can be done in those kinds of ways. As you know, Paul, you know, if you want to work, you need the place, the infrastructure, the equipment, all of that kind of stuff. You don't run around having your own anesthetic machine, I don't think. So, you know, we need a live blood analysis machine. I'm looking into this frequency scenario that is like a mat that has frequencies, and they're actually turning around non-verbal autism with these kinds of things. But it's going to cost me 25 grand to go to Italy to like learn to use it, and then to bring one back here to start that kind of business. So, you know, there are things that we can do if anybody's prepared to sort of help with the logistics and the financial input for those kinds of things. There's all sorts of things outside of medical industrial complex medicine, and you know, I can't do it on my own. You can't do it on your own. We need that, you know, like a live blood analysis machine, VLA, these frequency devices, and then, you know, you could sort of have people running the clinic. People come in, okay, you need this person, go and get that advice. People will need coaches, they'll need the hand holding, they'll need the people to help them to stay on track, to actually do the things that we say need doing, you know, because we all need that bit of help and support. And especially when everybody's got complex PTSD and they're all, you know, everybody's nervous system is out of balance. You know, we've got to bring all of that back into normal.
Right.
It's holistic care. Yeah, there's so much in that. Like, mental health is gone. What can I say? There's so many, like, young adults suiciding is my biggest concern at the moment. Like, I you know, I've had so many conversations, and, you know, there's so much doom and gloom that the very people that should be, you know, the young adults that would normally be the ones that rise up against the structures, as you know, Michael, typically you get the young adults, and they're the ones that actually shape the tree, that kind of get the revolution going and that sort of thing. They're all in doom and gloom, and they can barely even function. So this sort of underlying complex PTSD, everyone's on screens and that kind of shit, you know, like we've got to get everybody really well, in every way, mind, body, soul.
Yeah, I agree. And the like when that interview with Carrie, Paul, right at the end, I had a question I wanted to ask, and I didn't want to ask it, but I had to ask it. And I asked her if she found the courage to forgive herself, because she took 3 jabs and jabbed her kid. And we stopped the interview because she just broke. It was like I'd just drawn a line, and all the tears that she was holding onto in frustration just poured out. And so Richie, we do working with Max Fried now. But it was it was 2 days.
That's so healing. That is so healing.
But 2 days of just feeling the tremor. But you know, just as this sounds like a joke, but you know, it's a shame we can't. The Spanish Inquisition basically got rid of witches who were probably herbalists. It's a shame that maybe the name you should call yourself is witches. You could be a warlock, Paul. You know.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Ooh, I like that.
And you, Sally, could be Sally Price the witch. And and maybe it's a religious thing. Who knows? But it'd be interesting. But it's jokes aside. This is so serious now. I have a great friend. She wants to keep it silent, but I have a great friend who's losing a father, and the jab put her mother into it, gave her full-on dementia. I see her struggling. I have, and it's not just me. I'm just talking to people everywhere. People come up. They've lost 16, 17 members of their family in a year. You know, and they're despairing because they got survivor's guilt because they didn't take it, but they couldn't stop their other ones taking. They just have to be a spectator. And there's another interview coming out with a medical health nurse, Michael. That's going to blow people away. Because his brother.
Yeah, he's a friend.
His brother took 5 jabs and died. And he died hating Michael because he wouldn't take the jab. He says, basically, it's your fault. Instead of going to the grave thinking, actually, the government's poisoned me, or the bigger, you know, he went to the grave hating his brother. That's the depth of the evil of this thing that we're facing. And we have to fight it.
Yeah, well,
with true soul courage, which is like what Paul does. But we have to fight it with that. You know,
I mean, we're not immune. I've got friends and family members all around with all sorts of stuff going on. So it's highly stressful, and it's really confronting. And you know, I'm constantly kind of like, was there anything that I didn't say? I told them, like I tried to do all the things, and you know, use the Matthias Desmet kind of conversations and questions and all of that stuff. But you know, people have to make their own decisions if they're adults, and you know, because the propaganda was so effective, you know, I'm seen as an idiot, you know, like I'm still seen as an idiot.
You're not an idiot.
With people, family, friends, and that sort of thing. That just.
I think, Dr. Sally, when you started talking about frequency and microbiome and your nutritional insights, I think people would love you to come back and talk more about that. Because
sure.
I know there's a lot. There's
so much that we can do.
And you know, light is medicine. You know, it's not just getting your vitamin D and getting out in the sun.
You
know, I talked to Dr. Jack Cruz last year. And,
he's brilliant.
You know, his insights, and when I was first reading it, I was going, no one's talking about this whole new emerging branch of medicine, and there are some who are orthodox, even I think still jab pushers like Dr. Salt, from Medcram fame, but Andrew Huberman and others have picked up on parts of it, of lightus therapy. But there is in this underground medicine movement an emerging new paradigm towards health, which I think people will be fascinated about. So we should,
I mean, I've been in that area for such a long time. I'd love to. I mean, we've barely scratched the surface, and even though I haven't been practicing for the last 5 years, I've still been staying on track with things and learning new things, because I just love learning, and that's why I've now sort of gone even further ahead to look at these frequency things and all of that. I mean, I was already doing hair tissue mineral analysis, gut microbiome, DNA SNP testing, and all of that sort of stuff. But I think the frequency stuff is going to bypass all of that. So actually, we can really jump straight to some really good treatments if I could go and do that training and bring that back to Perth. It's really exciting, and it fits in with, there's all the basic stuff everyone needs to do, earthing, sunlight exposure, eat, what actually works for your body rather than what you think you like, fasting or time restricted eating, all the things, there's all the things that people can do anyway. But then to add these frequency therapies that they use in Italy, they've been using for 2 decades in Italy, this kind of stuff. So it's got real hope.
I know I have my friend Marie watching, and she's Italian, and she's got an interest in these devices, and I'm sure she's cheering in the background. So
lots of devices.
Oh, good. Good. Well, you should link me up.
You know what I think you should start before this? You guys are doctors, so you're in and but you have to walk in other people's shoes. We have been de-educated. We don't know how our body works. Imagine if you came up with small rants. I can show you how to do both of you, where it was like 5 or 10 minutes where you're explaining how miraculous our body is, because everyone feels worthless. That whole system from every way, climate change, you're killing the planet, you're racist, you're homophobe, you're anti everything. There's I think little things that come out, this is how miraculous your body is. Because Paul, when you told me about the immune system, I thought it was just white blood cells. I thought that was it. I thought there was nothing else. I thought that was like the only cab on the rank. But it's not like that. It's multifaceted, and it's in us, and even other things of what the body does. So people realize their body is insanely impossible, but it's here.
It's incredible.
You are a walking miracle. And then trying to get that up and say, but as you get older, like me, since my heart attack now, I'm like, it's like I have an old Tirana, and now I actually do the greasing and the oiling, where before I didn't give a shit, you know what I mean? But I drive along going, what's that? Oh, that sounds okay. But I want to learn now, because, it's realizing it ripped me open. They took veins from my leg. They bypassed things in and I don't know how long, I might die tomorrow or next few years, but the thing is, and then they put me back together. I got staph infection, and my body got over all of it. And now here I am back in the trenches.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. It is just...
It's wild. It's wild.
It is.
Michael, the technology made that possible. But any doctor will tell you that although they did the plumbing and the physical surgery, it was your body that actually made it heal. That actually, the doctors didn't do that. They just created the circumstances that allowed the body to heal. But absolutely, it's always your body that heals. And what just something that came to my mind was that one of the most sensitive things, even today, with respect to those injections that they coerced the population into, is the effects on the immune system. you still can't talk about.
Yeah.
And you know, Gert, who we've had on, is still talking about it with this, you know, the new cicada, and saying that it's still consistent with the concerns he's having with the dance between this virus, which keeps evolving, and the body's immune system, which is getting degraded in the vaccinated population. So the two are dancing, and there is still danger there. And it's the same danger I pointed out in 2021. You know, that you still can't talk about. It's still heavily censored, which makes me continually still worried that we need to stop that viral evolution, and that we do have to, like, one of the issues that one of the things I learned was, you know, that these injections into the muscle may not make a lot of sense when you're talking about a respiratory disease. So they're treating influenza and COVID and all these respiratory infections with injections into the wrong immune compartment. And Robert Clancy, of course, Professor Clancy, was one of the key immunologists to explain the importance of mucosal immunity. And if you have actual mucosal immunity, this is when you get herd immunity. This is when you get long-lasting, so you don't actually get infected and you can't transmit the disease. One of my ex collaborators quite rightly reminded me that it's not just squeezing up the nose when you think of mucosal, the actual gut immune. It's likely that the ultimate treatment that will work would be a capsule, something that actually gets into your gut, into your immune system in your gut, the Peyer's patches, because that's where your respiratory, the immune system for your lungs actually resides in the gut, because there's no room in the lungs for all those immune cells. So I felt for the longest time it just didn't make sense, but it is amazing. It is.
We don't know that, Paul.
It is amazing. It is complex.
We don't know.
And I just, it's just the paradigm that we're working under in this current orthodox medicine is wrong. You know, it's the first approximation, but it's not the answer. So I actually look forward to great improvements in health once we carry on.
I'm going to have to go because my daughter's leaving for Japan. So
no worries. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, and I'd love to. I'd love to do a bit more on things that people can do. Yes, that'd be good. Yeah. Well, while we're all stuck in Perth again. Yeah.
That's right. War
locked
refugees.
Up in Perth.
Yeah. Thank you. A joy and pleasure to meet you. A real pleasure to meet you, Doctor.
Yeah. Thank you, and I'll see you over there where you are with with Richie and all of that, perhaps.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you then.
Thanks for having me. Thank you. Good to see you.
Dr. Sally.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
the poll's still there, guys. So far, nobody wants the current system. It's all for a new system. Do you know, Paul? I'm sorry, man. Business is basically, there's a need in the market. It gets plugged by a new business. You get rid of all the ideology, all the regulation, and there is a huge gap in the market that could make a lot of money for whoever did it and still give the people what they want. And the people want doctors. They want nurses who will be an advocate, who will actually, because you talk to nurses and they go, the doctors are so overworked, they come in. The nurses who I've interviewed go, they want to be an advocate in case the doctor makes a mistake, just like, and they can't be that now, they say, they just got to stay silent. It is fundamentally broken, the health system. I'm not saying that the plumbing bad, the hospital, but we have issues and we have the capability to fix it. I mean, our forefathers and mothers built this land, as Alison Beveridge says, by digging bricks out of the rock. And we saw a house the other day on the side of the road in South Australia. Or was it here? I can't remember. But it was, you could see that they'd made the bricks out of the very tough land they were in. We can build. We're builders. We're fixers. We've just got to get this bondage off us, which is the regulation and a too big a government who doesn't care about us. They think they do, but they don't.
Speaking about that, I watched a documentary about mud brick housing and how there have been buildings that have lasted 1,000 years with just minor top-ups, and it was built from the soil and from the dirt underneath their land, and you could and this it goes into how they with building codes and stuff made it so that it was prohibitively expensive, when the truth is humans have been doing that, building their dwellings, and these are dwellings that are cool in summer, warm in winter, can last 1,000 years with minimal top-ups each year to the so it's not just medicine. We can do things so much better. But
100%. There's the other thing I want to talk, Paul, is I'm just going to put up a quick ad here, but why don't you just fill us in a bit more? For the people that started, you have been out of the loop for a week. Tell us why, because it's so beautiful. Tell us what you've been doing.
Yeah, so it was my nephew did what's called a rites of passage. There's an organization that does this, and it's run by men, and they challenge the boys and put them through, and the fathers for them.
What was one of the challenges? Just tell us some of the challenges.
Well, you know, it wasn't just the challenges were in part just the physical activity of climbing mountains, but there was also a lot of fun too, playing games and sitting and talking about what it was like for us when we were their age, and all the complexities of being a man, and you know, some of the discussions were things that even their best mates of decades never heard. So to me, it was an extraordinary experience. It was, you know, hard, you know, the long days and stuff, but there was also a lot of fun, and there was such an incredible feeling of fellowship between the group. I found it quite astounding. You know, all sorts of different men, all sharing open-heartedly about their experiences. And I'm sure my son benefited, and the other boys who are now young men, because they've gone through this rite of passage. So I'll put it out there. Look up rites of passage. You know, it's extraordinary.
I know this is delicate, but was the circumcision hard with the broken piece of glass? You know? I mean, I know you were the only doctor there. Is there a doctor here?
Do you know that there were some stretched hamstrings? Some of the games, some of the games were quite. You know, like I say, even the dads and the men were somewhat challenged. I know, speaking for myself, I was somewhat challenged, but you know, we've often talked about that. You know, where have the men gone, and how do we create? And other societies have had rituals to mark this. So I really look forward to seeing the benefit of mindset.
I interviewed that Uzbekistan man who went back to Uzbekistan, only person I ever met from Uzbekistan, and he said, your country, the men are broken because intergenerational teaching from men to fathers to grandsons is not there. That's how men become men. They don't learn from the system. They don't learn from the government. They learn from their fathers or uncles or grandfathers and stuff like that.
And that's what this was. This was men.
That's what I'm saying.
Speaking about their own lived experience. They weren't talking philosophy. You know, I love to talk all sorts of philosophy. No, it was just, but it wasn't about that, and it wasn't a big therapy session. It was just men talking about their life experiences.
Yeah, man.
In an honest way, to let these young men, these boys, get a sense of, you know, that we don't have all the answers. That we all have very different life experiences, but I thought it was special. I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering.
Back on the drugs and the grog.
No.
I'm kidding. You know, I'm kidding.
I'm happy just, you know, to have a shower and a bed. Honestly, after a week of camping,
and a week with your son. I think that is. I remember we were touring a play once, and I spent 3 days with my son. He was helping me do the stagehand, and he did all the electrics, and he was just figuring. You know, I remember we were in one theater in a country town, and we had no lights, and I just didn't know what to do. And it's like the audience was full. We had 5-10 minutes to go, and he's just up there in it, and he thought to himself, "Oh, there's a disconnection somewhere." He didn't even tell me, and he fixed it. And he went back and he did it, and I was thinking, "Wow, that's my son there. Didn't freak out. He just fixed it." I was so proud of him. It was such a lovely time.
Do you know when the boys were sharing with some of the other men what they hoped for, it nearly was always, I would like more time with my dad. You know, because, you know, and there was I heard several boys near me sort of in the conversation say that, and it's it's just, you know, in a busy world with work pressures and that, we forget that, you know, one-on-one time,
we forget what matters.
Yeah, and that whole week, I can share. One of the things is there's no devices. You don't have your phones. You don't have your computers. You don't. We didn't even have a clock. So I lost a whole day. What happened to Thursday? I don't know what happened to Thursday. It just I did. I didn't know what day. You didn't know what time it was, and I eventually didn't even know what day it was. But and that's why I have no idea what's happened in the last week. But it appears the lights are still on, and the food is still in the shop, so it's all good. So the benefit of being unplugged and in nature too is very powerful. And you know, this is a beautiful country and a beautiful part of the world. Yes.
So I guess you started waking up with the dawn, getting tired when they went down.
Yes.
Kelly and I love being in the bush. We just love it. I mean, it's great being with people, but to get isolated in the bush, you know, it's to be with all the insects and you just hear them. It's like an orchestra, you know. Yeah.
So that was part of the healing of it, and you know, to unplug. And in some ways, I thought it was almost like a cross between going on a retreat and a military boot camp, with games thrown in and challenges. So
yeah, wow. Well, I'm just going to move on. We're having the quiz show back tomorrow, but look, the quiz show has been developing. Okay, we knew we have something there. One thing's interesting, Paul. We have an army of trolls attacking us when we're on it. So I've never seen so many trolls, which makes me think we're onto something. And what we were doing is we're more interested in the creative answers. And what the thing is to bring out the larrikinism, the larrikin. So I'll be like Morecambe and Wise. I'm like Wise. I just do a few dumb dad jokes. But I go to the audience. Like last week, one of the questions was some guy walked into Florida police station and confessed to a murder, and he'd murdered his imaginary friend. And so the question was, creative answers only, how'd he do it? And An Imaginary Machete was the winner by Mark McDonald. But there was all these other great answers. So what we're going to do, guys, is tomorrow when we ask the creative answers, ones that are okay get 1 point. Ones that are, oh, that's funny, 2 points. And then the cracker gets 3. So everyone can contribute. I would recommend that people get there on time. But that's what we're going to keep doing it. And what we want to do is just have people get it out, have the laugh, take the piss. It's healthy for us. So, and the song is still catchy, but if I get time.
Most people are not vaccinated against.
It's the quiz show on the globe. It's the quiz show on the globe.
I'll see if I can change the video.
It's the quiz show on the globe.
We'll see how we go. So that's 8 o'clock Sydney time, 7:30 South Australia time. And if you're in WA, it'll be on sometime in November. Just get in there and get on. But I think it's 6 o'clock, to be honest. But it's to have fun, man. When you're having larrikin people, they're just taking the piss, there's a defiance that comes out. And I think our country, like what's happening in Ireland, hopefully tonight we're going to talk to someone in Ireland, because the Irish have risen up. The truck drivers have risen up. They've shut Ireland down. And what's happened is the woman who was the architect of destroying the Canadian truckies, the Irish have now employed her. So obviously the WHO or whoever else wants to destroy us has sent there to actually, that's Ben. I love Ben. G'day, Ben. Cafe Locto is actually encouraging the naughty kids. What could possibly go wrong? Exactly, brother. Yeah, Ben's great. And see you tomorrow night. Yeah, that's it. 8 o'clock, guys, on the time. Piss fart around to get going. But then we're going on. But this is, I think we go on. We just plug away, plug away, plug away, plug away. I was going somewhere with that, but I can't remember. But I think the conversation, Paul, about solutions, how we can build a medical system, must be out there. There must be ways around it. And if it's just money is not really an option. And the health system we have is not the health system that's going to heal our broken country. Oh, and that's the other thing. I did, to all the people who regret the fact that they couldn't talk their loved ones out of it, I'm going to find this interview I did years ago in my bus. I think I was in Tamworth or somewhere, or Tenterfield maybe. And it was with, remember that doctor we interviewed from New Zealand, and he became a psychiatrist. He was Jean, he had a French name.
Oh, yes. The Dutch one?
Yeah. The one who could say your name properly, just to piss me off. Remember him?
Yeah.
So he was on with a Jewish doctor. Both of them had 50 years worth of experience. Both of them had massive families, and they could not talk any of their relatives out of stopping taking it. Even though they were 50 years worth of medical, 100 years together, they couldn't stop. So you have to forgive yourself if you couldn't do it. It's not your fault. You tried, you this. You have to forgive yourself. And forgiving ourselves, I believe, is the first way forward, because then you're a better fighter. You forgive yourself. Think of forgiving yourself as Rocky laying on the canvas and he has a choice. Lay there and get some money, or stand up and go for glory. And forgiving yourself is the way for us to get off of the canvas and start more effectively fighting. We've done our best. Paul, you've done amazing. Everyone out here, the Jasons, the Belindas, where's my mate? I saw it just before. Mark and Borrow, Lisa Koma, everyone, all of us, we've tried our best. We're up against a huge things. Pauline, the woman who gave me a great haircut, we're still powering away. And that's it. And positive, like some woman I met today thinks she was so negative. She's really nice, but negative. I said, I can't take any more negativity. I know it's all shit. Now it's about how do we grow flowers from shit? Yeah. How do we use it as fertilizer? You know what I mean?
I just want a world that makes sense.
Well, that's what let's start making sense out of it. And I tell you what I know now, the way to make sense of it now is to turn it around. If you're trying to look, how do we get here from a human perspective, makes no sense. You turn around, how do we get here from a business perspective? What were those tests where they stuck it up your nose? PCR
the
tests.
PCR.
I interviewed a guy today with John Stapleton. He worked in one of those tents. $250 a test. So someone made a shit ton of money. Those Perspex things that went up everywhere, someone made a shit ton of money. Whoever developed the app for your phone, so you know you can get all your vaccines in there, someone made a shit ton of money. There's been every war, people get extraordinarily rich, and that's what they did. And not only did they get extraordinarily rich off our misery and all the misery that they've left out on the land, they've given us the bill, and now they're leaving us with the bill. So they've taken the cream, and now we're expected to pay for our own demise. It's time to go, fuck you. And what I know, Paul, this is what I've been learning talking to people recently, the oxygen of tyranny is compliance. Shut off the oxygen. Just don't fucking comply. That's what all the Polish have told us. The Hungarians, the Romanians, the Argentinians, everyone has lived under tyranny. That's the only thing. Do not comply. And the Iranians I interviewed today, the beautiful Persian people, initially they said they wouldn't talk to us. This was a few months ago, because if they talk to us, they have spies here, and their families in Iran could go missing, or even worse. The ones I interviewed today, and we've got about 8 interviews that are going up, and we'll get more in. They said to me today, I asked them, what about your family in Iran? They said, the family in Iran, I said, don't worry about us. If they kill us, they kill us. We don't care. We're not scared to die anymore. They've reached the edge. That's why I think there's a chance that the regime could fall, because the people got nothing left to lose. Nothing.
We will see.
And so there's hope. So there's hope. This is what I'm seeing when I'm interviewing the people. And let's see. And if not, better for them that they die on their feet than live on their knees. And that's what they're doing. The other thing too, I'm here. I've got a great new friend called Simon O'Rourke, and Simon O'Rourke has let us stay in this house while we're enduring the war refugee status. And he's a songwriter, and he wrote a song about Desi. I'm going to go out with the Desi song. So I'm quite glad Sally's not here, but we're going to go out with the Desi. Now the poll is, should we, let's have a look. Should we as Australians set up our own medical business? People out there reach, set up our medical system, and doctors can be doctors. Yes, 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 100%. No, I prefer the current system. 0. Now I realize we're a bit biased, but I bet you put that out to the public, it'd be really interesting to see the result. Probably why Facebook doesn't allow you to do polls anymore. Anyway, so here we go. We're going into the new week. We'll start with a laugh on Monday if you want to join us. Richie and I and Kelly. Kelly's done a load of filming today with these things. It's time to punch on. There lots of shit going on, and no one's coming to save us. You know, I'm going to buy Paul a white hat so you can go, okay, the white hat have arrived. Just come on. Anyway, Paul, get a shower. I can smell you from here. I see you glowing, and I see you glowing. It must have been, I'm envious of the time you've spent with your son. That must be a beautiful memory forever. Yeah, you're a good dad, Paul. You're a good dad.
They were all good dads.
Yeah, I bet they were. But still. Anyway, so going out with the Desi song, and we'll see you tomorrow with a quiz show, and then we've got a lot of great interviews coming up. Tons. So stay tuned, and see ya. This is the Desi song from Simon O'Rourke. I filmed it, so I'm the producer. Here we go.
Wounding it.
Gillian, we're reading in papers as well that he was hiding in a container on a property. That's where he apparently was shot at 8:30 this morning by a heavily.
They laid Desi down, boys. They laid old Desi down.
Leading the charge.
They laid Desi down. With armored cars and machine guns. They laid Desi down. I remember when it all went down. And I remember when down came the troopers. 8, 9, 10. shooting, gave them all the slip. He shot 2 down in cold blood, or at least that's what they say. 10 cops with Smith and Wesson couldn't stop him getting away. They couldn't stop Desi getting away. They laid Desi down, boys. They laid old Desi down with armored cars and machine guns. They laid old Desi down.
Okay, done. I arrest you for aiding and abetting. I arrest you for acting aggressively and uninterested and perverting the course of justice. You must stand down. You are now in my custody and under arrest. You are not free to leave. Just have a seat. Does this court obey the law, sir? Just have a seat. Does this court obey the law? Have a seat. Even just once. Have a seat.
Ned Kelly and his old bush rangers fought against the law. Like them as he came to grief. We've seen it all before. They shot him full of holes, leaving children and a wife, and nevermore he'll go roving. But we all know such is life. They chased him all around the bush, hunted him night and day. But all the cops in Gippsland couldn't stop him getting away. They couldn't stop Desi getting away. Now Desi's a free man. He roves some golden land.